Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Marvel Rewind. This rewind is, of course, for the Loki series. I'm your host, Brian, and we are here to talk about Loki. And as always, I am joined by my Apocalypse friends, Gio, Keith, Jacob. How are you guys doing today?
Pretty good.
A little under the weather, but I'm okay.
Oh no.
If it were 1 year ago, I would be more worried.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good. Gio, what? You can't be getting sick in the summertime, man. That's.
Well, mind you, I live within the same household as my 2-year-old niece, and she goes to school. Yeah. So whatever she brings home, the household catches. So.
Yep. Oh yeah, it happens here all the time.
Keith knows. If anybody knows, Keith knows.
Jacob, I bet you can't wait for the day that you have kids and all those germs come on into your house. And
well, I actually have the same exact thing. 2-year-old niece is living with me right now too, so
well,
very interesting. But I've been fine health wise.
Yeah, good for you. But yeah, as always, we are here to talk about Loki. This Marvel Rewind is for episode 2 of the series. Let's just dive straight into it. I would like to know from each first, did you like it better, about the same, or not as much as the first episode? Gio, I will start with you.
Right now, I'm leaning more towards the same, but it could go even better. As I just saw it maybe a half hour ago.
Okay.
That's usually how I do these things, so that way it's fresh. For me, a big part of it was the dialogue, especially between Mobius.
It's Morbius. Yeah, just take the R out.
Morbius without the R,
which is too close of names.
Mobius.
Why did they do that?
Yeah, characters in the same universe, but I get there's a lot of those actually if you think about it. But
yeah,
proceed.
But it's just they're back and forth on like, are you playing me? Are you for real? You know, are you telling the truth? Are you up to something? It's just like for me, the first half of the episode, like that was very much the highlight, and then of course, you know, we get a lot of casework, you know, crime solving, mystery solving throughout this episode. And then, of course, the ending with, let's just say the third act. I'm sure we'll talk about it. But yeah, for me, the dialogue was really a highlight for this episode.
Yeah.
Okay. Jacob, better, same, worse?
It's tough because I think I'm starting to realize I might be in the minority in absolutely loving the first episode. Like, I love it. So to say I like this one as much, I don't think I do. But it didn't, like, it wasn't a bad episode at all. Like, if, you know, it's pretty much on par, but I just think the first one hit me really hard. But I like this one a lot because it's not just essentially the first episode's in one setting for the entire time, basically. I like that we're in different settings in this episode. So that's one of the benefits of it. But I think I like the first one a little bit more.
Okay. Keith?
I don't really I think it's about the same, but Jacob, I'm with you. I love the first episode as well.
Yeah, you did love it, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it's the same. Because I don't really look at it like I look at these shows as it's just the story's unfolding just in a little piece by piece.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't necessarily look at it as this episode. I just look at it as the next part of the story.
It's kind of like, what'd you think of the first 20 minutes of that movie? Like
exactly, yeah, exactly.
Hard to tell, but I liked it.
right. That's where I am. So I know it's just part of the larger story, and I'm into it. So for me, it's the same. I love it.
Yeah. For me, I was not a huge fan of the first episode. Like I felt like I came out of that very confused. Like they stuffed a lot into it. But this episode, Loved it because I felt like I understood what was going on finally, a little bit better, not completely, but I kind of feel like I like grasped the rail of like understanding kind of where we're going, whereas last week I just fell off into oblivion. And I watched it twice too, and I was like, what is going on? I'm so confused. So yeah, no, I was to the point where when it ended, I went, no, like I was hoping there was still X amount of time left. Whereas the first one, I was like, okay, like I wasn't crazy about it. So yeah, so let's just jump right into it. Anyone want to? We'll save the hooded reveal for the very towards the end. But anyone want to bring up anything right now?
Well, a lot of talk about. Oh, go ahead, Gio. Go ahead.
Nope. Go ahead.
Mine's just super quick because there's a great discussion. And Gio, you mentioned the dialogue, which you're exactly right, spot on. Another great discussion between Loki and Luke. I'm sorry, Owen Wilson's character. What's his name? Mobius. We just
Mobius. Yeah.
Yeah. I keep wanting to say Morbius.
I know. Yeah. Same. But man, great discussion. That's basically there's a symbolic discussion. Essentially, it's about religion and belief. Was what I took from it. But it was a really good back and forth about why. Well, why do you believe this? Okay. Well, why? Okay. Why do you believe this then? Okay. If you believe that, then why do you believe this? It's Loki asking the questions and Owen Wilson having the answers for it, and Loki just his skepticism. It was just interesting. It was an interesting, challenging debate they were having, and a lot of talk in that discussion about chaos and order, which is very interesting. Which are two characters, two beings in the Marvel universe. So I'm wondering if they'll come up at all in this series or going forward in the MCU. But there's a lot of talk about chaos and order in this episode. I think
one is literally
Chaos
the
and Master Order.
Oh well, I was just saying one person we just saw blossom is the literal definition of chaos.
Yeah, right. So there you go.
So interesting. The dialogue between the two of them is so perfect. Like the way, like it's not even like they're playing characters. Like I feel like it's these two people are doing, like these things as it's going on. Like they are so good. Tom Hiddleston has literally perfected. He cannot do anything better than what he is at playing Loki. Like I'm not saying different roles, but like he's sitting at the peak of like what you could do with the character of Loki. Like
it's funny because we thought we've seen that already, but he's doing it now.
Yeah, it's just like he knows how to play that character so well to a T, so spot on, like that you believe every single thing that he's saying. And
he's grown. He's grown into it. He's like Hugh Jackman with Logan. Like he's the same.
Yeah,
he's done it for so long.
And it's incredible because like he's one of our most original characters. He's been around since pretty much the beginning. What, the fourth MCU movie?
To that point and Keith's point, if you think about it overall up to this point, he's one of the pillars of the MCU. Because if you think about Iron Man and Captain America, of course, and Thor just erupted and became that as well. And I think if like you can choose another hero if you want, but Loki has to be in the discussion for one of the pillars of the MCU, I think.
Absolutely. Gio, I saw your eyes think. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think Tom Hiddleston's always been great as Loki. I think what differentiates this one is that they're actually putting characters around him that can test him and match his wit
Challenge
and
him.
knowledge and whatnot.
Yeah.
So we're seeing the same Loki, but just
More
turned up
depth.
a little bit, you know.
That's a great point because Loki thinks he's like better than everybody, right? And so
Yeah.
he thinks he's smarter than everybody. And now I didn't think about that, Gio. Like the TVA and Mobius, they're challenging him. Like just
Well, there's
for
a
wits and
literal
intelligence.
there's a literal scene in this episode when they go back to the medieval carnival and he's stalling for time, and Mobius just goes like,
He
I
knows
know what
it.
you're doing. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
he just goes, I know what you're doing. Let's go. And Loki just is like, what? How did he figure me out? Like, how did he know that? And Loki usually gets away. I mean, towards the end of Ragnarok, Thor figures out his game, just kind of like never to trust him. But not all the characters can do that. And the TVA is so far out of his normal realm of like, I can fool you. I can do whatever I want. I can do this magic. Yeah, there's
That's a great point.
It's a very deep
that's
show.
Well, that's
what
kind of what
what I
Keith was
thought
talking
about.
about.
Yeah. So, Jacob, you want to bring up something? You got anything that you want to
There's
cover?
a ton of stuff, but well, first of all, the first scene with Loki and Miss Minutes was hilarious. I love that. Just fun.
Comparison to Roger Rabbit,
It was just
and
pretty
I can't
cool.
take credit
Like,
because I can't take credit because I watched Coy Andrew say it this morning,
oh,
and that
okay.
didn't even cross my mind. He was like, "That's literally like how Roger Rabbit is filmed in the sense of like that character is there, they're interacting, trying to catch it."
Yeah.
Like,
no,
oh,
that was definitely cool. But to me, I think, and I don't know the character's name slips my mind, but Gugu Mbatha Raw's character, I think that, and this is like kind of getting ahead of it, but like I think there's in the MCU. Okay, you guys know they've taken things from the comics and changed them when they bring them to the MCU. A ton of things. Like look at the Skrulls in Captain Marvel. Like they've changed things. So I think there are no timekeepers. There never was. I think that Kang the Conqueror is behind the TVA. That either it did exist and he took it over, or he created it from the beginning. And for some reason, he has to keep this sacred timeline in order for some reason. And he created this whole thing. And we know that in the comics, that's his romantic interest, if I'm not mistaken. And she's having her run it for him. That's why when Mobius was talking to her, he's like, I've never met the timekeepers. Like, where are they? How come I never met them? And it seems kind of fishy when they're having that conversation. So I think that's what's going on, basically.
let's dive into that because I literally have it in my notes. Something feels off about the timekeepers.
Exactly. Yeah.
That came across my mind. The fact that he keeps calling them lizard people, even though like they don't really look like lizard people. I 100% agree with you that there is something off with the
for sure, and it might not
story.
be Kang, but I do think there's going to be a reveal that like, oh, either the TVA is corrupted and they're not really like doing this for the overall good of the universe and the timeline, or it is Kang. Maybe, who knows? I mean, it makes sense to me with that character. Kind of, she's the highest up we've seen in the TVA so far. So to me, it makes sense for her to be influenced by Kang somehow.
And it seems like she is the only person that talks to them.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So it would make sense to me.
Geo Keith, are you on the train with us?
I mean, yeah, there's always been something off about the TVA. You know, they push things, they push out information that, it makes sense, but it's like there's just something behind the way the information is presented that's like they're hiding something. They're only telling you 3/4 of the pie. What's that other missing piece? And so I think you guys are on to something there. Exactly what? I mean, it could be what Jacob said, about King the Conqueror and there not being any timekeepers, or maybe somebody's controlling the timekeepers. I'm not sure. So
Okay, it's Ravana Renslayer, and I'm never gonna forget
Yeah.
it again. That's her character's name.
I get very much, and I don't know if anyone else feels this way. I get very much Wizard of Oz vibes. Oz behind the curtain. Like no
I know
one
what you
ever,
mean, yeah.
no one ever speaks to the timekeepers other than me. And I, if anything needs to be said, I'll tell you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and then, oh, look, that person and I'm not saying she is the timekeeper, but it seems very much like that there's some, you reveal the screen and it's just some dude. Like, that's the vibe I'm getting so far, is like a Wizard of Oz where it's like, I am this great and powerful wizard and da 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 da. And then it's just some
And
dude.
they're building it up because what does Loki want more than anything? To have a face-to-face with the timekeepers,
Yes.
right? So they're
Yes.
building it up, even though he ditched out on that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Keith, are you on board with something's up or no?
Oh, definitely. I thought that from the beginning. Like, there's just something odd about the fact that Loki, this being who, again, comes from Asgard, his father is, adopted father, is All-Father Odin, and he's never heard of this or any of these people. It definitely felt like something was off about it, because they know all the secrets, not everything, obviously, but they know so many secrets of the universe that they've learned from, whether it's the Infinity Stones or all that stuff going on. So, yeah, I've always thought that something odd about this, and we've never, obviously, it's however many years ago was Guardians of the Galaxy, but the whole story about the Celestials and all that stuff. I mean, we've never, like, what are these timekeepers, whatever they are? Like, there's, I don't know, it always seemed odd. So yeah, I would agree. I would definitely agree.
Good. I'm glad we're all on board. All right, Gio, you got anything?
yeah, a couple things.
Okay.
First thing's a bit of a negative. Okay, like these TVA agents are damn near embarrassing. Okay, for as powerful as the TVA is, every time they go into attempt to capture this mysterious person, they're just easily taken out, easily handled, and it's just the worst part of the first of this episode is the first part of the beginning, where they're just easily defeated. And granted, this, we're learning more about this person, Lady Loki, Sylvie, whatever you want to call her. But it's just like, man, you guys suck. Like, seriously, for an establishment such as the TVA, you agents need more training. You guys make the Chitauri look like, or not even the Chitauri, the Ultron bots.
Well, yeah,
look formidable. And it's just like, without their gadgets, they're nothing. Like, man,
they're stormtroopers.
Yeah.
They're
there to get shot and beat up. That's all. Yeah.
I'm sorry. They suck. Okay, the outfits look cool, sure, but man, like if it's not Loki, or what's Gugu Mbatha's character name again?
Ravana Renslayer.
Yeah. If it's not,
I was gonna
I
let
need that
you
pop
take
figure.
that.
printing her. Every time TVA agents are there, I'm like, okay, how are you guys gonna get screwed now? How are you guys gonna get influenced or mind controlled or something? It's just like, ugh. But other than that,
Keith, I'm gonna forever think of them as stormtroopers now, because they really are.
They are. That's what they're. Yeah,
that's
it's
a
cannon
good
fodder.
analogy. I do like that they've how they figured out that she hides in these apocalypse. I thought that was a cool way to tie in, you know, bringing
Yeah.
Pompeii into this show and showing it to us. And you know, we see 2050 Alabama, you know, and a natural disaster happening. I thought that was pretty clever.
I think it's genius. The fact, like, that she's hiding before a destruction that is planned, so she can do whatever she wants. Like, when I heard that, I went, "Oh, damn, that's pretty smart."
Yeah, and
like,
to me, there's like most time travel stuff doesn't make sense, but to me that makes sense because
right?
like everything in that area would there's literally nothing left anymore, right? Except
about to
maybe
be
some
destroyed
cockroaches, right? So how would
Right.
anything affect anything? So it makes sense to me, and Loki figured that out, which was pretty cool.
Well,
It's
I
funny
love seeing him. Oh, sorry.
Nope, go.
I was gonna say I love seeing him. He's still because we're reminding ourselves, and they're reminding us that this is 2012 Loki. So he's reading about Ragnarok, and I love that performance as well. That's one of those great performances where performance like facial performance where he's reading what happens to Asgard and all the people, and he's devastated, but that's how he figures out what's going on with this variant. But I thought that was a great performance by him. But I love seeing him still getting the reveal of what his future was supposed to be.
You know what's weird about that, Keith, is that he sees all the good that he did too, that he probably never thought that he was capable of.
Right.
Which is, what does that do to him? Does that make him go the opposite way of that or more towards it? That's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
I loved that whole entire idea of hiding before chaos. It's a genius thing, and it's funny because at first when he's explaining it, I was like, "What? I do not get what he's talking about." And then they go to Pompeii and show you it, and you're like, "Oh, that's pretty clever." Like, and I liked that because there are a lot of times where he is, and all the characters are saying stuff that you're going, at least me, I'm going, what the hell are they talking about?
Yeah.
Where I'm just like, I have no idea, no clue. I don't get what they're talking about. And then he did it again, but this time they actually showed you it, and it was like, oh, that's pretty smart. Like I enjoyed the visual of what they're saying because this show is very complex. It's not an easy like, here 10-year-old watch Loki do bad things. Like, it's not your easy digest. Like, there's deeper stuff in this than I would say most of the MCU's stuff before.
And that's the benefit of having direct-to-consumer content, to put it in Kevin Feige's own words, is that you're able to have these stories where you can flesh out the characters and, you know, the subplots and whatnot, and then just make it like one big epic journey. And hey, this comic book movies, okay, you want to talk about like continuing to push the boundaries and, you know, not produce the same things. It's here to stay in streaming. Like, we'll get our big epic event films, and Marvel will obviously, you know, do the sequels to the big hits on the big screen. But comic book movies, in whether it's Disney Plus or comic book properties, Disney Plus, Amazon, HBO Max, it's here to stay on streaming. And so
Agreed.
It's so exciting. Really is. Like, this is what we've been asking for, especially those who are more critical of the MCU, you know, where you only have so much of a runtime to tell a story, and you want to see more. Well, this is satisfying everybody's appetite, for more content. So, yeah.
And Chuck, couldn't agree more that the stories not only are building great characters, but addressing bigger ideas, and it's allowing you to deep dive into these characters. We are literally deep diving into Loki's psyche when we watch these episodes, and he is arguably one of the most complex characters psyche wise. I mean, he's this child that was found and taken by one of the most powerful beings, and the trauma that comes from being the second child. Like, it's very well done. And I actually didn't notice this, and it kind of makes sense. But at the end, Tom Hiddleston is the first executive producer of the show. And so I guarantee, who knows the character better than this guy, honestly, at this point. So, and it's showing. But we're almost half hour in. Let's just jump into the two biggest things, I would say.
Please.
The time split, if you will, and the reveal of Lady Loki. Which do we want to go to first?
I mean, they're both kind of in the same thing because she directly.
They like happen at the same time, basically.
Let's just call it. The multiverse has started.
Yes.
There's no way these TVA agents are going to be able to stop. What Lady Loki did was so precise. It was coordinated. And it was a thing of beauty to see executed. And, man, it's all a part of breaking up the sacred timeline. Like, going back hundreds, thousands of years. I wrote down every location.
So did I. My whole big... Yep.
Yeah. It's crazy, dude. There's so many planets that we know about. And, like, just imagine, like, the portal opening and that reset charge dropping in. Boom.
So regarding those, were they saying that those literally, like, just kill everything in that timeline?
No, the timeline has now split, so something else happened that is different from what was supposed to happen.
Well, I'm just saying what they were saying. Remember when the agent was like, "So what is this?" And then Loki explains it. That device, he was basically saying, he's like, "That's a nice way of saying it just disintegrates everything around it." So the way they cut off the timeline, did they just literally kill everything in it, or like I don't know how it works, but. Or does it like somehow like beyond our understanding, it just eliminates the timeline? I'm just curious. Like, does it physically kill everybody, or does it, like I said, just eliminate the timeline? They don't have to explain it exactly how.
I would say it's kind of just like a Nexus event has happened because of what just happened. I don't think it's killing everything just because. Looking at the names that are given, and I'll go
created
over
Nexus level events like on all those, basically.
So here I want to jump into it, and ironically, none of them, and I'm sure there's a reason, none of them happen near our timeline for the most part. We have. And I'll just say them fast. Lisbon, Portugal, 1492. Vormir, which we know, Soulstone.
The Soulstone.
2030-01. So that's
way
in the future. Thornton and Cookville, USA. Asgard, 2004.
2004.
Could not get that out. Rome, 1390. Sakaar, which was where Ragnarok took place. 1984. Barichara, Colombia. I don't know.
I just wrote down the planet names of what we.
Well, I wrote them all down. Porvo, Finland. Ego.
Man, a lot of Earth locations, by the way. Out of all the places, a lot of Earth locations.
So Ego, which is in 1382. So that's
Wow.
past. Titan, Thanos' homeworld, 1982. New York, 1947. Tokyo, 1984. Hala, which is the Kree homeworld, if you didn't know, 51. So 0051. I mean, that's pretty early.
Wow.
Kingsport, USA, Xandar, which is where the Nova Corps is, and that was in 1001. Beijing, 2065, Madrid, 1903, and there was one that showed up, but it didn't have a location. It was April 4th, 1887, and Jake and I, before the show, were looking up, and Jake found out that there was a disaster. The Yellow River in China flooded and killed 2 million people. So,
Wow.
I mean, if that's, I mean, if it's causing these disasters, that could be interesting because all of it is so spread out throughout time. I mean, our furthest date back is Hala in I love just saying that, in Hala in 51, and then as far in the future as Vormir in 2301. So this stuff is happening all over the dang.
So she's choosing specific places, specific times, and I have to imagine if Chuck is right about, only a section being affected, she's choosing the section as well. Remember, she has the ability to go into each, portal door, and so we don't know. I mean, all we can do, no matter how much we study these dates, is speculate as we go into the next episode. But it's going to be very interesting to see all these places. Like, are we going to see Loki go to all these places, or or the TVA, Mobius, I think. Mobius.
Yes, you said it right.
Whatever. Yeah, I'm tired of pronouncing his name. But
you know what's funny? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's just, are we going to see them go to these places? You talk about Sakaar, 1984, I think you had, or you read. Do we see Beta Ray Bill as a former champion of that time?
That's a good point.
Yeah,
that's cool. Oh, I like that. That's a good one.
I mean, we could see these places. I mean, some of them at least, and it makes me think, like, is he gonna be with her, like, for the next couple episodes, or for like most of the rest of I mean, there's only 6 episodes as far as we know. Are there?
That's what we're saying.
So is he gonna, like, I just imagined just the way the series was set up for these first 2 episodes, like, oh, he's with Mobius the whole time and with the TVA the whole time, but it looks like he's following her around. And actually, now that I think of this in the sense of 6 episodes, like, I think we're gonna obviously get to stuff a lot faster than we think. And this time, all these timelines being created because of what she did is huge. To Chuck's point, to Brian's point, they aren't just like treating these like little television shows on the side. These are as important as the films, because this is incredibly important. And I don't think they're going to do this unless they solve the problem and close off all the timelines by the end of this series, which I don't think is going to happen. This is arguably the start of like Multiverse of Madness and all the Wanda stuff going on, because technically they took Loki in 2012. So anything that's happening now, I mean, is going like, Wanda was starting to, like, we assume that Wanda was like hearing her kids in another multiverse, another universe or something like that, another timeline maybe at the end of WandaVision. So like this stuff could affect shows that we've already seen. Like this all could have happened before WandaVision is what I'm saying basically. So, and with the time stuff, it's tricky, but this is like, and you talked about this, Brian, is like how they kind of are, this is like the next phase. I mean, not literally the next phase, but like you said, they're starting from zero, like from this series. And this is kind of the next big event, is this multiverse stuff. And Loki as a series is playing a huge part in it.
Yeah. And I truly feel like this show is the Zero over again, including Falcon and Winter Soldier and Scarlet Witch. Like, this is the real Zero show for the Marvel reset, if you will. While keeping the same characters, this is their reset point for everything going forward. At least that's what it feels like to me. Keith, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, for two things. First, it was a little ambiguous to me at the end. Jacob, you're like referring to what's he going to be doing in the next couple episodes, because we don't necessarily know if he's going after her or if he's joining her. It's hard. You know what I mean? Like it was.
Well, you're right. He could be going to stop her, but
right.
I think it's more of like, am I going to stay with the TVA and be basically imprisoned by them, or am I going to go see what she's up to?
Well,
that's basically what it is to me.
Either way, we know that he has his own agenda.
Absolutely,
yeah. So whether he's joining her or whether he's going to just try to stop her or take whatever she's doing for himself or whatever, he's definitely got his own plan. But I do love the ambiguity of we don't really know, but also too that when you mentioned like when like all the other stuff that we've seen already post Avengers, there's a lot of stuff that happened that Loki did affect that he's not around for. Like Odin, he went back to Asgard in Thor 2 and banished Odin to Earth. So with him being here with the TVA, that hasn't happened. So with that being said, Ragnarok won't happen, because the only reason Ragnarok happened is because Odin was gone. So that's good. You're right. That's going to have a major effect on everything going forward. And if that's the case, maybe Thanos doesn't get the Tesseract if Odin's still alive. And for that matter, Hela could have stopped him. She wouldn't have been around anyway because Odin was alive. She wouldn't have been released.
Yes, bring back Hela.
Maybe, who knows? But I was thinking about that earlier. I think Hela could probably have taken Thanos, to be honest. She's extremely powerful.
Well, not if he has the Infinity Gauntlet fully formed. I don't.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
but who can beat him? In that sense.
Yeah. That's the interesting effect on. Yeah, just thinking about what's actually gonna. Is this gonna affect everything that we've seen up to this point? Because it could be all completely changed. Almost sort of like what Days of Future Past was supposed to have reset that that whole thing. I don't want to compare it to that because that's all a mess. That whole Fox X-Men timeline, but seems like it's sort of what that was supposed to have done, was kind of reset everything. Okay, this is what the timeline is going forward, but everything's, like I said, they call it madness and chaos. So I don't know how that's going to get fixed, man. It's crazy to think about what's going to happen going forward. It could affect the Spider-Man coming out later this year. I wonder if that's how.
I think it all does, because even though they had to structure the order of the way the shows came out, Kevin Feige's like, okay, does this make sense to come out here? How does this affect this? We need Loki to come out before Spider-Man. He restructured it to where it's going to make sense for his plan still. So I think you're right.
Yeah. I truly think that this is the opportunity to see characters of old, not Captain America, not Iron Man.
Yes,
I think
so.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm sure we could, but I have a feeling we are going to start seeing more one-off villains come back.
Okay. Oh, do you mean in the MCU in general or on Loki?
No, not in general.
Okay. Like Abomination, like what Geo's.
Yeah, well, Abomination just went to jail or whatever.
Yeah. You're talking about characters that died and stuff.
Yeah, characters
Jeff Bridges or what was his name? Stain, Obadiah Stane, or
Killmonger, or no, not Killmonger, Warmonger.
Ironmonger is that one. Ironmonger.
Ironmonger.
Maybe Ego. Something. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, obviously something
knows?
happened with Ego, right? In that
yeah. I
situation.
mean,
Yeah.
he's his own damn planet. So, and I'm sure this will have. They didn't just throw Hala's name out there. Like, this will have some Kree effect too, in my opinion. What?
Could see
You think so?
Marvel. Could see oh my gosh, what's her name? Annette Bening. It's Marvel.
Yeah.
Might see
So I think that this is going to be something that is going to stick around for a while. I'm talking like past stage 6, phase 6. Like, you could randomly see someone show up like, oh, I'm so and so from the multiverse, blah 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 blah, whatever. So, but okay, the big shebang at the end, the reveal of Lady Loki. Hint, hint. Quote, quotes.
well, a lady.
Open the floor.
Everyone went straight. He mentioned the word enchantment. Like he said, it's an impressive trick or whatever he said, something about that. So obviously everybody, and she kind of has the enchantress. I don't have my Marvel book, but the headpiece that she kind of wears, and she's blonde. He seemed like he maybe recognized her.
There are so many clues that that's not her, or that's not him. There are so many. Just the ones I wrote down was him saying, "I wouldn't hurt me," or "I wouldn't do this to me," whatever, when he's getting thrown around.
Yeah.
When she says, "Don't call me Loki."
Okay, but why is she so offended by being called Loki, though, if she's not another version of Loki?
So in the comics, there is an enchantress who has the same name as there was in the credits in the Spanish version, and it's a version of enchantress that Loki created. So,
Okay.
And he went off on that little tangent that I need to rewatch because it was so long and he talked so damn fast in the Roxxon, which is another bad guy corporation, where he was telling the difference between him just like projecting himself and then him actually like being a thing,
actually being there.
Yeah,
I love that part, by the way.
Yeah. So I mean, to me, those were the three biggest signs. Like, hey, this isn't who she says she is. Is like her saying, "Don't call me Loki," him giving that whole entire spiel, and then I wouldn't hurt me. And yeah, I don't for a second buy that.
I kind of agree with this, though, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, of course. But I personally, before I even saw that, when she took off her hood, I immediately in my house went, "Oh, Enchantress!" Like instinctively.
And
then I was
going
like,
back
"Oh wait,"
and forth, but in that trailer shot where some people thought it was Black Widow, right? In the trailer, isn't her hair red? That red hair in that shot. So
No,
I'm saying
blonde.
that is it.
I'm pretty sure. I think it's the tint.
I think the
of
reason why we thought it was her is because it was red hair. But anyways, like, I mean, that could not even be this character in that shot. Honestly, maybe there's a Lady Loki and an Enchantress. But and Chuck mentioned this earlier. Like, we talked about how they change things from the comics. It can be a combination of the two.
Yeah.
Like, they've done that before. They've put two characters into one before and just adapted it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I personally, before I've been waiting for Enchantress for years. She's one of the best characters in Thor's repertoire. So, like, if they want to like use it for this, like, I'm fine with that. Make it a Loki villain.
Makes sense. Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And her powers are almost identical to how she uses them in the comics. Like, does her little magic, taps. She has the whole mind control thing where she makes people do what they want or she wants. Like, it just, everything is pointing.
And they don't like each other.
Yes. and it's just everything is literally pointing like in that direction. It just, for me, at least, as someone that like knows the Enchantress lore, like that's honestly the number one Thor villain I wanted to see from the get-go. And I'm fine with them making it its own thing, because she's not going to be like, she was not, I don't think she was ever going to be like to the level of Hela or whatever. But this could work like actually really well. So I'm excited. And if she is just a superior Loki, all right, that's fine. I'm fine with that too.
I'm cool with either one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. There's just something very fishy about it. Something suspicious. Like in Thor, he always has black hair. Even when they were showing the different variants on that little machine, he was scrolling. Black hair.
What was that big beast monster one?
The big Hulk Loki?
Yeah.
Was it actually like a Hulk?
No,
or
it's
just
not a Hulk,
a big monster
like
type Loki.
Big Loki monster.
Yes.
Yeah. And to me, it's confusing because they set it up to where like there could be a female version of Loki because there's all different types, right? So it's interesting. They want us to like not know yet, obviously.
Yeah.
Has anyone seen the movie Fallen with Denzel Washington?
I haven't.
Well, he plays Gio. You ever seen Fallen? You ever seen it?
What's it called?
Where he plays, it's called Fallen. He plays a detective. Chuck, you've probably seen it. He plays a detective tracking a serial killer that they think they get in the very beginning, but then someone they catch him and he's executed. But then some of the same murders and the same pattern stuff start happening again later, and it turns out that the serial killer is actually a demon who is transferred by person to person by touch. Yeah, and so I got those same vibes watching this. So I was like, oh, this is just like that movie Fallen, where like there's a scene where the person's like Denzel's trying to track the person that he thinks it is, and then it's out in the middle of the streets of like New York or wherever, and then he touches someone, and then all of a sudden somebody that walked by a few minutes ago, there you go, yes, okay, cool,
wow,
yes, oh wow, okay,
hey,
yes, it's exactly like that.
He's so young in that.
You guys, oh my gosh, I challenge you all to watch this movie. It's very good.
Interesting.
John Goodman's in it as well. It's really good. But yeah, there's a bunch of people walking by, and like the person will touch somebody that walked by, and all of a sudden they'll turn around and start talking to them, and then they'll touch somebody else, then they'll walk by in the other direction, and they'll start talking to them. It's a really creepy scene. It's a good movie, really good movie. But yeah, it reminded me exactly of that when watching this episode.
I just remembered that Jake put all these like awesome images in there, and I forgot that I actually have to be the one that clicks them. So here's a picture of Lady Loki and what she looks like. If you are wondering,
is anybody familiar with this actress? I'm not, so I'm just
I'm
not. Yeah. So, and then here's of course our timeline split that we saw, and then the lady. There's no green powers. We haven't seen green magic really outside of the time stone. So I'm curious if that's something different.
Do you think it like all ties in with like how we're talking about all the WandaVision magic and stuff?
All magic is going to be tied in.
Comes from that because we know Loki learned from his mom and she learned from witches. So
yeah. Also, I don't know who this woman is. I love this character, the character that he's standing behind next to, Hunter B-15. I love that she never trusts him, always is like ready to just disintegrate him at any point. And yeah, pretty much.
Even though like she got the upper hand on him in the first episode, but he got the upper hand on her later on in the first episode, and then she got screwed over in this episode too. So I feel bad for her.
I know, right? She probably has no idea what happened.
Exactly.
No, I mean, Yeah, I mean that's a big thing because no one saw him have that conversation.
Right.
All they did was wake up and see him leave with the bad guy.
You know what? I didn't think about that. They never saw her.
No.
Right.
So as
all
far as they
saw
know,
was,
he could be behind all this. But
Right.
like according to them,
all they saw was an open doorway and him walk through it. That's it. So they're going to be furious in the next episode at Mobius. Probably you trusted him, and he joined the blah 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 blah. So
at the beginning of the episode, they're talking, and Loki says, "Aren't you worried that I'm gonna run away or something?" He's like, "No, because we can catch you anytime." So are they not going to be able to catch him then, or does all this timeline stuff be like, all right, who cares about Loki right now? Like we got to deal with this. So I'm curious about that.
So I'm very curious to see how this plays out. Also, did you notice that this all happened on 6/16?
Today's date? Yeah.
Yep. Today's date. Jacob, are you figuring that together?
Wait, what do you mean about that?
In Marvel,
the main
616.
Yeah.
Yes, and today's date is 6/16, and it is today's the first day that the multiverse has exploded.
Wow. Hey, I'm telling you, that's why they moved it to Wednesdays.
Probably.
I just realized that because if it was on Fridays, they wouldn't have been able to do that.
Yeah, I bet you there's something to that.
It's just funny. It's a funny little thing to think of that
It is.
The multiverse exploded on 6/16 and whatever. But yeah, so any final thoughts before we wrap this up? I enjoyed this episode a lot compared to the first one. I was not, and I told the guys after the show, I was not fully on board last week. I obviously was going to watch every episode, thought it was interesting, but I was very confused. This one put me on the rails, and I'm chugging along. But anyone else have anything or want to bring up of importance? Or are we?
Are we just settling on like we're not sure about the character at the end yet? Like,
I'm 80% Enchantress, incarnate of some type of Loki something.
A version.
Yeah. Like it's a merge of the two.
Well,
that's mine.
Yeah, it's all speculation at this point until she reveals in the next episode who she is. So to answer your question, no, the episode didn't tell us who she was. It showed us who she is, but that's about it.
Saw her face.
Yeah. So
also, you know what I keep forgetting? That every time I remember, I get super excited. Richard E. Grant's in this at some point.
Oh,
wow.
Richard E. Grant.
So interesting.
He's just, I love him. So that's for me, I'm excited. I think he's fantastic.
But, and by the way, Stardew, no, I don't think they'll ever go to Star Wars or Marvel, just only Disney Plus series. No, I think there will always be theatrical films, in my opinion.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
But it could go to a point where maybe 90-10 movies shows to like 60-40 or even 50-50. I wouldn't doubt, but never like eliminate films. I don't think they will.
I hope not. I got a lot of money in AMC stock.
Yeah, but I just want to address that question that Stardew asked because that's in my opinion. No. Yeah.
Well, does anyone have anything else? Are we good to wrap this one up?
We're good. Great episode.
What? Well, super quick. Loki said, the other character said, "Oh, you're undercover" to Loki, and I thought for a few seconds there, like it made it seem like he or Loki, he always wants everyone to think he said, "I'm 10 steps ahead." He made it seem like he's planning all of this from the beginning. Like he wanted to. Maybe he was. I know, Gio. But maybe, I don't know. I think there's a small chance that he
I
wanted
don't
to get
think
catched.
so. There's no way. Like, do you mean since he's been in the TVA, or do you think you're saying prior, like during Avengers, Loki, he knew all this was going to happen?
Well, obviously that would be obviously retconning, but
Yeah,
maybe. I think there's a small chance of that. Small chance.
maybe he was like, if things go bad, I take the Tesseract and get out of here and do this. I don't, maybe, but no,
He knows
he
the
seemed
TVA will come
genuinely
back.
shocked that the TVA exists and the Infinity Stones and all that. So
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But he could have developed a new plan while he's there for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I would say that's more likely that he developed, and it seems like we've seen him develop plans and say he has developed plans.
Do it on the fly. I hope that's the case because I don't like the whole Palpatine, like everything. This was all my.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't.
And
I,
I
don't want
do
that.
think
Yeah.
that like he wants to get face to face with timekeepers, either to like just talk them into something, or he thinks he can like
Or
overpower
expose
them
them.
somehow.
Yeah.
Because he
Yeah.
tried
His
to kill
number one-
Thanos.
Yeah, his
Right.
number one goal is to get to the timekeepers at this
Yeah.
point in time, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
Or
But-
Kang, we'll
Oh.
see.
Or Kang, but yeah,
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
is so fishy with those timekeepers. I'm very curious to see how that plays out. But that is going to do it for us on this Marvel Rewind. Check back with us next week when we get into episode 3, which I'm very excited about, especially now that the evil Loki or whatever you want to call her are together. So yeah, come back and check us out next week, 7:30 Pacific Standard Time, as always. Also on Friday, if you want to watch a little Star Wars, we'll be doing our breakdown of the next episode of The Bad Batch. So come check us out. That'll take place at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. For Apocalypse Movies, I'm Brian. That is Keith. That is Gio. And that is Jacob. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.